Hi, this is Dan Pastorini, and you're listening to The Grilling Truth.
Welcome to Week 4 of the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show, brought to you by Gridiron Mo, a new interactive football app where you get to call, along with the offense and defense, the plays you think they're going to call, and compare it to everybody else around the country. So make sure you check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I want to welcome in last week's big winner, Mark Cooper. Oh, shucks. Mark's phone's not working right. All right, so we'll move on. We'll come back to Mark whenever he gets his tin can straightened out. Brian Schmidt, you were 7-9 last week. How you doing, Brian?
Well, about how 7-9 feels, but we're worse, pretty much how Pittsburgh feels right now.
All right, and we've got Aaron Zepnick, who was 7-9 last week also.
Yeah, I feel like Jeff Fisher right now.
No, Jeff Fisher has a winning record. That'll bring us to last week's big loser. He was 8-8. Matt Andruscavage.
8-8's a loser. No, it's mediocre. It neither feels good nor bad.
Yeah, and let's just say my record was just like two other people that I introduced first. Let's see if we can go back and get Coop on. Coop. You there, Coop?
We'll go out front, see if this phone will work better out there.
Coop's going out front, so
better.
the phone will work better out there.
So what was Coop's record last week?
Coop was 9-7.
Okay.
So now Brian for the year has a 1-game lead over Matt and still a 2-game lead over me since we both had a spectacular record last week. All right, let's go ahead. We'll start picking the games, and then hopefully Coop will get back on here. Coop just I'm back, hopefully.
Someone's gone.
Okay. Matt, start talking about Miami and Cincinnati.
Well, it's coming off a short week. Miami did pretty much everything they could to lose that game against Cleveland, but they came up with a win. Cincinnati had trouble. I think Cincinnati's going to rebound this week. I don't know how good of a game it'll be. I got a feeling that Miami will probably give them a game just because I think those wide receivers can give the Bengals a little bit of a hard time. But ultimately, I think Andy Dalton will probably play pretty well, and the Bengals will win.
All right. Aaron?
I agree with everything Matt just said, and I think that Cincinnati's running game actually will dominate this game. Jeremy Hill looked pretty good last week. I think Cincinnati will take care of business at home.
All right. Mark? You there, Coop? Yeah, we'll come back to him in a second. Brian, Miami at Cincinnati.
I really feel like Cincinnati will get back on track. I want to pick Miami because I got to go with Cincinnati. So.
You just want to pick Miami because you're a Steelers fan.
No, I want to pick Miami because I just have that feeling, but it's just not big enough for me to go with it. So.
All right, Coop, you there yet? Coop?
Yeah, I'm having issues with this phone.
Yeah. All right. Miami at Cincinnati. I'll go with the Bengals, but not comfortably because they've not played well this year. Dalton's played well, but other things have not always clicked the way they were supposed to. Indy at Jacksonville. Coop, if you can hear us and we can hear you, just talk whatever, and we'll get you on.
Yeah, I'm taking Indianapolis Colts. Jags haven't impressed me, even though they played a little bit better this week. Colts. I just like the Colts passing game.
All right. Who we got next here, Aaron?
I'm going to take Jacksonville. Games in London. I think they've played over in London a few times, I believe, already, and I think they'll handle the travel better than the Colts. I don't have any faith in the Colts defense to stop anybody. I think Jacksonville will take care of, get their first win.
All right, real quick, since we got Coop back on there, you want to make a pick on Miami, Cincinnati? Okay, guess he's still not there. Jeez. He must be afraid to talk. Even, I mean, just think how bad it would have been if his team would have lost. Brian, Indianapolis, Jacksonville.
I'm gonna go with the Colts. This one's a toss-up for me, but I'm gonna go with the Colts on this one. Again, it's just kind of that feeling. I think that I think for some reason, as good as I think Jacksonville could be, I mean, a decent team at least, just not feeling it with them. So I'm going to go with the Colts and get it.
I'm going to go with the Colts also, and I will throw this in too, Brian. I think after Jacksonville goes to 0-4, I think they'll be looking for a new coach. Coop, you there?
I think you're right.
Yep, back in.
It's about time, Coop. I'll tell you what. Coop, Indianapolis at Jacksonville?
Oh, I'm back. I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I heard it right since your phone's so screwed.
You were going to ask him about Miami, Cincinnati.
Yeah, Miami, Cincinnati.
No, I took the Bengals. They're not going to go 1-3.
All right.
Good.
Matt, Andruscavage.
I'm going to go with the Colts. I think if Jacksonville was in Jacksonville instead of in London, I'd probably go with the Jaguars, but I don't know that Jacksonville's really played too well in London. They've gone there a couple times, but they've also gotten beat pretty badly over there. I think the travel affects them both, and I just think Indianapolis will find a way to win this.
All right. Coop, Buffalo at New England.
You know what? New England's on a roll right now, and Buffalo's been not playing as well as I thought they'd play this year. So I'm sticking with the Pats. And Buffalo's, still 1-2, a lot like your Bengals, struggling, and Patriots are just playing too well right now, even without Gronk or their boy.
I'm going to agree with Mark there. Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to take New England here. And in Buffalo, maybe they play inspired ball like they did last week against Arizona, but there's just no reason to pick against New England. They're just going to get stronger and stronger. I think they'll find a way to win this.
All right, Brian.
I got to pick New England. It's all about the system in New England, and they always find a way to win, and I think they will. We're one more week away from Tom Brady being back, and at that point, I don't know that they're going to lose a game. So, New England. Is Garoppolo back? Last I heard, something definitive, but one thing with New England, it's not about who's quarterback. It's a system, and I just that was the thing that impressed me the most on Thursday was the announcers kept talking about third string quarterback doesn't get more than 30. I think it was something they said something like 30% of the playbook. And it looked an awful lot to me like he was running 65, 70% because, and I think it's just a system. They plug guys in and they get them learning the system, and then now you've got a team that they're hard to beat. So I'm rolling in.
I'm not betting against Bill Belichick. I'll probably pick the Patriots every week. Actually, I will pick the Patriots every week.
So you want to just go ahead and we'll mark you down?
Yeah, I don't see them losing. And I wouldn't imagine when Brady comes back that they'd be an underdog in any game. So
yeah.
I'm going to go with the Patriots. I don't think it matters who plays quarterback for them, especially against the Bills. I think the Bills are probably 1 or 2 losses away from Rex and Rob Ryan being unemployed.
Well, Rob's used to that, and so is Rex, so it won't be that big a culture shock for him. Brian, Oakland at Baltimore, which is actually a good matchup, I think.
I think it's a real good matchup, and I'm going to go with Oakland. Just feel like, I think Baltimore's done some good things, but I just feel like Oakland is a good team. They're going to come into their own, and I think Oakland's going to win this one on the road.
All right, Matt?
I think I like Oakland, too. To me, it's kind of a toss-up. I like Baltimore at home. I like John Harbaugh, Joe Flacco. They're not, the thing with the Ravens, though, they're not scoring a lot of points. I think they're only averaging like 13 points a game. They're not beating, world-class teams here. I think they could still win this game, but I think Oakland's got a pretty good chance of pulling this out on the road, so I'm going to go with them.
All right, Coop.
Well, I'd pick Oakland if it was in the black hole, but I'm gonna stick with the Ravens since it's in Baltimore.
All right. I guess that would be me now, right? Yeah, me and Zepnick have to pick it yet. I'm going to go with Coop. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think they're the better team still right now. I'm going to go with Flacco. He's a veteran. Their defense is playing well. They're hard to beat in Baltimore. Aaron, what do you think?
Boy, 2 people picked Oakland, 2 people picked Baltimore. I'm going home team. I'm going with Baltimore. Only because they're at home. It's a toss-up game for me. It's a good matchup. It's intriguing.
All right. Here's a great matchup. I always let Brian pick the Cleveland Browns first because I know he used to be a Browns fan until he smartened up and picked a different team. Brian, Cleveland at Washington.
Cleveland's going to get a win at some point. And it's not going to be this week. But I want to, but not going to be this week. I'm going to go with Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brian. Aaron, what do you think?
I'm going with the Washington. Just had a really nice win against the Giants. Playing at home, starting to click. I'm going Washington.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I think Washington. I think some of the excitement from last week will carry over into this week, and they'll play well at home.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, it's unanimous. I'm picking the Redskins too. I just don't think Cleveland has their ducks in a row, and I think Washington, got a big win over the Giants, so that I think that's a big boost for the team.
All right, Coop, I'll let you go first. Denver at Tampa Bay.
Come on, baby, 4-0. Denver Broncos. That defense is just going to be beaten up on the Bucs. I mean, those are 2 teams I played for, so I have Broncos jersey on the front and the Bucs jersey on the back. But it's awful tough to. I mean, Vaughn's in a click. Shane Ray came up with a couple sacks last week. Defense is playing strong. If you're not trying to dink and dunk them and try and run up the middle, you're done. And I don't think they have the ability to do that. Even good as Jameson is, he'll have a little bit of success here and there, I think. But when he gets hit in the mouth at the end of the day, it's going to be the Broncos.
All right, Aaron?
I'm going Broncos. Far superior team, in my opinion. I think Tampa Bay's got some youth, got some talent, but I think Doug Martin's out. Don't see any running game established there against Denver's defense.
All right, Brian.
I don't know how you can go against the Broncos right now. I've got to go with the Broncos.
Because, it's the NFL, and, last week, guys, we all picked the same team in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We picked the same team in 10 games. Do you know how many of those games we got wrong?
Probably 7.
6. Probably quite a few.
We got 1, 2, 3. We got 5, 6 of those 10 wrong that we all thought were locks. So, that being said, I'm going with Denver. Matt?
Yep, I'm going to go with Denver too. I don't see Charles Sims running the ball real good on Denver. I think if Denver makes them one-dimensional, I think they're going to force Winston into mistakes, and that's going to give a short field to Simeon.
Well, I think Tampa Bay will give them a game. I think it'll be a close game. I just think the difference is, you got 2 young quarterbacks, both good, but I think Tampa Bay's defense is not nearly as good as Denver's yet, so that's why I'm going that way. We'll see. Everybody picked that one, didn't they?
Yep.
All right. The L.A. Rams at the Arizona Cardinals, Coop.
Well, I'm sticking with the Cardinals, even though the Rams played the Seahawks and beat them and have played pretty well. I just think the Cardinals, are going to get in stride here, and they're going to be, they'll win that division, and I think, they're a playoff team to go.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I think Arizona will get back on track. They're at home. They're real tough to beat there, and I don't think the Rams are going to have enough magic in this game.
All right, Brian.
Gotta go with the Cardinals. I don't know that I'll be able to pick the Rams well this year. So.
All right, Aaron.
Gotta go.
I agree. I'm going with the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, I agree too. The Rams did beat them there last year, but maybe it makes it less likely they'll overlook them this year. All right, I'll start the next one. Dallas at my favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go with Dallas. I mean, I really like Dak Prescott. Thought he was the best quarterback coming out this year. Looks like now he's probably number 2 behind Wentz. But, I mean, he's a legit quarterback. You got Ezekiel Elliott. You got one of the best offensive lines in the game. I'm going with the Cowboys, probably by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Aaron, what do you think?
I agree. All of that. Right on.
All right. You sound like a flower child from the 60s right now, Aaron. Brian.
Yeah, I got to go with Dallas. Was pretty impressed with them Sunday night. I thought they continue to be a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
All right, Coop.
Cowboys, man, love that offensive line. I may pick them all year just because of that.
All right. This is my question, Coop. What happens when Tony Romo's healthy?
I don't know. Prescott's played so well. He may be dispensable. Who knows? I mean, maybe they can pick up a bunch for him, and somebody will take a winner on him because, I mean, he's played well enough to, he's the old saying goes, how do you say Tony Romo in Spanish? Mark Sanchez.
That was really mean because actually Mark Sanchez is a lot worse than Tony Romo.
Oh, I don't know.
If I had a choice between having Tony Romo's career and Mark Sanchez's, I mean, not just because he banged Jessica Simpson, but Tony Romo's had the better career. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I would definitely say that he has had a better career.
All right. So
and he gets to bang Jessica Simpson.
I know that was kind of that was the tipping point to me because his numbers are better. But then his numbers are a lot better there, even though I don't even think she's that great, but she's famous. So then you can go around and tell your buddies, hey, I did that girl from the Dukes of Hazzard movie. Matt, Andruscavage, Dallas, San Francisco.
I think it's actually going to be a pretty close game. I think the Cowboys.
You thought every game. You think every game is going to be close to the Niners are in.
I go back and listen to the tape. I've picked against in the last 2 weeks. I thought they were going to lose. I thought they were going to play Seattle.
You also said both games were going to be tight, though.
Well, the Carolina was for quite a while till the end there, but not last week. I think that being at home, this was a pretty brutal road trip these last 2 weeks. I think being at home and Dallas suffering an injury on their offensive line, I think they can. Dak Prescott's a rookie. He is an impressive rookie, though. I'll give you that. I think this could be a close game that they're going to steal. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to pick the Niners by a field goal.
Dead silence right there. Did you notice that? All right. So we each get to make up a game on Matt this week. Okay. Coop, the Battle of the Titans, the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans.
Oh, my goodness. The Texans have just been playing good football, and Tennessee hasn't proved themselves really anywhere as far as I'm concerned. So I'm sticking with the Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans also, even though Tennessee's got the better quarterback. I think the Texans had the better overall team. And, I mean, Houston played god-awful last week against New England to get shut out. I think they paid way too much money for Brock Osweiler, and I think everybody can see now why John Elway didn't want to pay that money, Coop.
Yep, exactly. And Osweiler left here because he was pissed off he got pulled and they put Manning back in.
Yeah, well,
there's a little bit of hard feelings. That'll come out eventually, but that's part of the deal.
Yeah, but I mean, you can understand that too, Coop, in his space.
Yeah,
in his spot.
it's all, especially these young guys. They get bigger egos than.
Well, because let's face it, last year's Denver team would have won if me or you would have played quarterback. So that was his one chance to win a Super Bowl as a quarterback.
Well,
in the NFL.
let's not go that far.
Yeah, you probably couldn't have done it. I could have though. Schmidt, who you picking, Tennessee or Houston?
gonna go with Houston.
Okay. What's so funny? Aaron.
You playing quarterback.
Even though they lost J.J. Watt for the year, I think Houston's going to bounce back after a performance like that against New England. They have to bounce back. Especially, I think they're going to be a team that can compete for that division with Indianapolis, Jacksonville not being very, very solid so far. I think Houston has a chance to bounce back here. I think they will.
Hey, whoever made fun of me there, Schmidt, you've seen me throw a football. I can throw a football.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. But Coop's just mad because he was just proven wrong. You know what? I'm going to pull out the old 8mm silent film and show you from when I played. Matt Andruscavage.
Yeah, what? Pee-wee?
No,
I'll go with,
that was your nickname, wasn't it, at the strip club? Go ahead, Matt.
I'll go with Houston over Tennessee. I think the loss of J.J. Watt will hurt them through the year. But, in this particular game, I think Tennessee gives them a game, but I think Houston will probably pull it out at home. It might be a 3-point game, but they'll win.
It wouldn't surprise me if Houston surprised them, or Tennessee surprised them, but I'm going with Houston either way. But Detroit at Chicago. Aaron, I know you're a big fan of both these teams.
The Lions actually impressed me with how they came back, and I know McCarthy was real conservative in the second half like he always is when they have a lead, but I just don't have any confidence the Bears can win many games, if any. So I'm going Detroit, and Chicago's home record is awful.
All right, Brian.
I've got to go with Detroit. This Bears team just doesn't get me real excited about picking them. So I'm going to go with Detroit.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Detroit, when you watch it, it makes you wonder, since they got Marvin Jones, if they still had Calvin Johnson, what their offense would look like. And that could be scary. And it also makes you wonder, while watching the Bengals, one-dimensional offense with no Eifert in there, what the Bengals would look like if they still had Jones. Coop, Detroit at Chicago.
Well, I don't like Chicago, and I'll bet we would have marked this one down all year. I'm going to bet against Chicago all year long. So the Lions for sure, and Stafford's playing pretty dang well.
All right. Did everybody pick that one yet? Matt, did you get that one?
No, but I'll agree with everyone. I think the Lions will win. Chicago, I think, has lost like 13 out of the last 16 at home. They're just terrible at home. They're losing guys left and right. Langford's out now. There's no reason to pick the Bears in this game.
Yeah, but in their defense, they suck on the road too, guys. It's just they have to be a little bit worse at home.
They're just terrible. They're just really bad. They're a train wreck. I think they're the worst team in football.
Them are the Niners. All right, Carolina at Atlanta. I'll go on this one first. I'm going to take the Falcons. I think they're going to score points. I think that Carolina last year didn't play a lot of teams with winning records. Seems to me Cam's throwing the ball to the other team a little bit more than normal, so I'm going to go with Atlanta. Brian?
I'm going to go with Carolina. I think it'll be a great game, but I think Carolina will win.
All right, Coop?
Yeah, I don't think Carolina will go down to 1-3, so I'm going to stick with Carolina. I think they'll come back and get in the hunt and start playing the way they know they can play, because they're capable. They're a pretty good football team.
Yeah, but they've got no offensive line at all, Coop. We saw that in the Super Bowl. We saw it last week against Minnesota.
Yeah, but you got a quarterback. If they start, you got a quarterback that they can move out of the pocket and start making things happen.
Yeah, but when you got no offensive line, eventually that big quarterback's going to get beat half to death.
Well, he doesn't think so, because he's got that big S on his chest.
Yeah, well, that big S, would lay him
turn
down
into an
left.
S for sissy.
For sissy. Listen to that talking crap. Jeez, just because you're miles away from him and he doesn't know where you live. Reminds me of Matt Andruscavage. Who you got, Carolina at Atlanta?
I'll go with Carolina. I think this is going to be a tough game, but Julio Jones is hobbled. I think that really does hurt them. I think Carolina can stop the run and get after Matt Ryan. I think they'll win a close game.
All right, Aaron.
Your pick actually intrigues me, and I kind of want to go with you here, but I can't, Mike. I think Atlanta's defense is not very good, and I think a mobile quarterback will give them trouble this week. I'm going with Carolina.
All right. Here's an interesting one for you, Aaron. Seattle at the Jets.
I'm going with the Jets at home. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to play. I don't think Seattle will score a lot of points. I'm going with the Jets at home.
All right, Matt.
That's a really good point. I forgot Russell Wilson's going to sit this game out. I think you're right. I think the Jets will find a way to win this game at home. Seattle doesn't play particularly great at home or on the road, and if they don't have Russell Wilson, I just don't see how they've got offense.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jets too, and whether Russell Wilson played or not, I think the Jets are better than what they played last week. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and Seattle's offensive line is not very good, which is the main reason I'm just going to go with the Jets. Coop, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, Matt. And Mike, without Russell Wilson, I think they'll be dumbed down a little bit on offense, and I think the Jets are starting to, play some football. I actually like the Jets more than I picked them, but I think this one they beat the Seahawks at home for sure.
All right, Brian.
Got to go with the Jets. Without Russell Wilson, I don't think that Seattle has a chance in this game. So, Jets it is.
All right, New Orleans at San Diego. Matt.
I'm going to go San Diego. I think the Chargers have played well enough to be 3-0, but they've given up leads. They just haven't been able to protect leads in two of those games. I think at home they'll play a little bit better, and I think Rivers is going to have a big day. I'll go San Diego.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I got to go with San Diego as well. I just have a good feeling with them, and I like Rivers, so I'm going to go San Diego.
Watch it. Cooper hates Rivers. Cooper, who you got? Rivers or Breeze?
Oh, man, I just can't believe the Saints are going to go 0-4. You know what I mean? I just struggle with that.
Well, both of these teams could be 3-0.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with the Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think y'all are going to probably pick the Chargers mainland, and it's not even so much about Rivers. I just can't believe the Saints and Drew Brees go 0-4.
All right.
I think they
Aaron?
find a way to win.
I'm going to go with Coop here and go with the Saints on the road. I agree. I think Breeze will have a big day again. I don't think either defense is very good. Chargers lost Manti Te'o with the Achilles issue, and I don't think their offensive line is very good either. I know they're a little bit better than last year, but I'm going with the Saints on the road in an upset.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints, too. I don't know if it's an upset or not, but I think the game's pretty much an even toss-up. Both teams can put points on the board. I'm going to go with the Saints. So I think Phillip Rivers is a really good quarterback, no matter what Coop thinks, too. But I think Drew Brees is a great quarterback who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Rivers might be. Brees will be. I'm going to go with the guy that will be. Schmidt, Kansas City at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh gets back on track.
Are you going to pick against Pittsburgh at any point this year, Brian?
Probably when they play New England.
Okay. Cooper.
Boy, that's a tough one. You know what I mean? I like Kansas City and I like Seattle. And you know what? Since it's in Pittsburgh, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. This is a toss-up game for me because I think both those teams have played pretty well. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with the Steelers at home.
All right, Matt.
I think you got to always be aware of when Kansas City goes on the road. They're just a different ball club in Arrowhead. In Pittsburgh, coming off that really surprising loss to Philadelphia, I think they get back on track. They get Le'Veon Bell back. I think their offense is going to be real good. And I think they'll play well enough on defense to get this done.
Well, I'll tell you the thing, and maybe Brian wants to address this. I've never seen Antonio Brown pretty much shut out in back-to-back games.
I don't know that he was shut out this game. It was a weird game. I mean, if you look, I think he had over 100 yards receiving, but it just.
Yeah, but it seems like every game he has at least one touchdown reception.
Yeah, it was 100 yards receiving, but it was quiet. I've never seen him have back-to-back games like that. But that's the thing. I think, I'd rather him have it right now than get back on track than be doing this in the playoffs because that was a travesty Sunday. So. Yeah,
but the thing that would bother me if I'm a Steelers fan, and I can tell you the stuff bothered me as a Bengal fan in a minute if you want, but the stuff that would bother me as a Steelers fan, I guess the Bengals. You
don't have enough time.
Why don't you shut up, Coop? I'm talking, all right? But the Bengals and the Eagles, when the Steelers played them, the one thing that those two defenses, and I mean the Bengals and Eagles both have good defenses, but the thing is, they pretty much totally eliminated the big explosive play, which is what Pittsburgh's known for.
Yeah, but they're also, against the Bengals, there was some missed throws. There was at least 3 throws that were underthrown that would have been big plays. So,
yeah, but there also was a fair amount of pressure on him. I don't think you can just say – because Big Ben ain't going to stand there and throw and miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they'll get back on track. I'm not real worried about it. It's just that was a hard game to watch. So.
Well, I really enjoyed watching that game. I know you didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. Aaron, Kansas City at Pittsburgh.
Well, Matt had a good point. Kansas City's a different team on the road. I think this comes down to whether or not Big Ben bounces back and has a better game. I think he will at home, national TV, Sunday night. He usually puts up pretty good numbers in that scenario. So I'm going with Pittsburgh. I think Le'Veon Bell coming back will give him a big boost too. So Steelers.
All right. Final game of the week, which is actually a pretty good matchup here. You get the 2-1 Giants at the 3-0 Vikings. I'll start this one off, I guess. Right now, I think the Vikings are one of the 2 best teams in the NFC, and the scary thing is I think the other one might be the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with the Vikings. Coop, what do you think?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm going with the Vikings too. I mean, they're I think the second behind the Broncos with sacks. I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and that defense is playing tough.
All right, Brian.
I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. I just think they, with everything that happened with the injuries, I mean, they play defense. They kind of have a mean streak, and they score just enough points to win a game. So I really like this Vikings team more than I really thought they were going to struggle, but they certainly been pretty good. So.
Well, I think there's a case to be made that Sam Bradford's a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater anyways, if you can keep him healthy. But he's never been able to stay healthy. Why don't you know about that? What's Teddy Bridgewater done?
I don't think he's better. I think in the right system, I think he's good. I think they're doing the right things with him, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is just more explosive.
All right. Well, the problem with Teddy Bridgewater, though, is it didn't seem to me that they ever let him be explosive.
Well,
I mean, they never really stretched the field with throwing the ball, and, I mean, that's, I think, what their big problem was last year. Aaron?
As much as it pains me, I'm going to pick the Vikings at home on Monday night. Their defense is phenomenal.
Yeah, they're by far the best team in that division, wouldn't you say, Aaron?
No.
What team's better? So you think Detroit's going to get it together?
I think the Packers will still win the division.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Matt? Delusional
I think
Packer
the Vikings. I think the Vikings are not only going to win this game, but you look at how they're doing it. They're missing Sharif Floyd. I think they're missing one other guy on defense, and no AP, no Bridgewater. And I think you're right. Right now, Sam Bradford in this system, I think he is a more effective quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. You watched last year; they really, I don't know, maybe they just didn't want him to be let loose. I think he's got a lot of talent, but I really like what Sam Bradford's doing, and I think they're going to have just enough effective running game to keep teams off balance with McKinnon and Asiata. I think the Vikings are going to really have a good season this year. And once they get Sharif Floyd back, they're going to get even more pressure on the quarterback. And is Xavier Rhodes playing? He's a good corner too. And I know he's been out. So, I mean, I think the Vikings are going to win the North again. They're real good. I'll go Minnesota on Monday night.
All right, so we usually start the show off of everybody giving their takes, the thing that surprised them or the big thing that impressed them from week one. We didn't get to do that because Coop's phone's always screwed up the first 5 minutes of the show. So, Coop, go ahead. What was the thing that impressed you or surprised you the most in week one?
Well,
or
not
week
so much.
Three.
Let's go to let's talk about week 3. What surprised me the most about week 3 going into week 4 was how, you were a coach, right?
Yeah.
And so I coach little guys too, and I tell them, once you punch your opponent in the mouth, they kind of shut up, and it's been great to hear you shut up this week after the Broncos beat the Bengals. And that's probably the most impressive thing.
The thing that was really sad to me is this. Whether I've coached high school or higher, the one thing I always told my guys was, and Schmidt can back this up, because, he was an assistant with me, I was an assistant with him, is I've always said, make sure you always take the high road, whether you win or you lose, have some class. And the thing that really disappointed me was the fact that, 3 minutes left in the game, I get this text, it's like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And to this day, he tagged something on my timeline on Facebook. It's just childish, and it really saddens me that a grown man who represents the Denver Broncos would stoop to such level.
What, tagging you on the timeline? I'm just sharing a cartoon with you. That's brotherly love. But High Road, if you could spell High Road, I'd be shocked.
Highroad.
Wow, they do have school in Ohio.
I'm not from Ohio. I don't live in Ohio. I coach a high school football team in Ohio, but I'm from Indiana, and we spell all kinds of words.
Well, all I know is, y'all are 1 and 2, and all that jammering hasn't done you any good. So all I heard a minute ago was
really mean anything.
You were going to tell us all the things you didn't like about the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, don't flip-flop. Be a true fan.
Well, I am. When did I flip-flop? Huh?
That was my week 3. That's what I gave you.
I believe when me and Matt became friends, the Bengals were like 2-14. He can vouch
Matt,
for that.
Matt told me a long time ago he's really not your friend.
Well, I don't really care because I never liked him anyways. I just had to be nice to him.
Hey, there's that
someday,
flip-flop.
10 years later, we'd do a show that thousands of people listen to.
Okay, what did you take away from the week?
Matt?
For me, the biggest shock to me was the Pittsburgh Steelers game. I was as surprised as I was that Pittsburgh didn't play well. I was also very surprised and impressed with the job that Doug Peterson's doing over there. He was touted as one of the worst pickups in the league. He's doing a good job. Frank Reich brought a good system from San Diego. I think Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback who's, I like to think that he's just going to get better, and the offense is just going to continue to grow and develop, and they just got a lot of young guys on that team. Would not have thought this at all at the start of the season, but Philadelphia looks pretty tough, and even them just winning the game would have been a surprise. For them to win by 30 points or whatever the score was really, really a surprise.
Well, the thing I took away from it is the 5 teams that are undefeated are 5 teams that probably in Vegas you wouldn't have thought would be undefeated right now.
Yeah. Baltimore.
The Broncos with a new quarterback, the Ravens coming off a bad season with a lot of injuries, Minnesota and Philadelphia. Maybe Minnesota, you think that, but you don't think after Bridgewater goes out and Peterson goes out. Mike Zimmer's just a great coach. And that was the problem.
How do you take the Broncos out of that whole picture when they lost like 2 guys who were role players on the defense?
We're talking about losing a game in the first 3, Coop.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. With that defense?
I thought you were disagreeing with me again. I thought that's just what you did on this show.
No. I'm saying, how would you not think they would be in the hunt with that defense coming back?
Yeah, Yeah, and out of those teams, they'd probably been the one I'd have thought would be most likely to be 3-0, to tell you the truth, just because of the problems the Vikings had had. Nobody saw the Eagles coming. I mean, Peterson hadn't even been a coordinator before, has he?
Good point on them, for sure.
And I mean, really, I mean, all these teams, and the Eagles are the biggest shock to me because the way they played defense was, I mean, they are fast. They get to the ball. They stay in their lanes. They do what they're supposed to do. Brian?
Well, we brought up the Eagles, so that's enough of that because I agree with everything on that. But my biggest, and not so much shock, but just amazing to watch is, coming back to what I said earlier, New England with third-string quarterback, everybody, I mean, we had 3 or 5 of us, I think, picked them, but there are a lot of people that thought, they're going to lose that game. There's no way, third-string quarterback. And it just goes to show that, Tom Brady's certainly an outstanding quarterback, but how good would he be if he was anywhere else? It's not Tom Brady that's why the New England Patriots win. It's the system.
Yeah, but Brian, you can say that about almost any great quarterback. What if Joe Montana would have went to Tampa Bay?
That's true, but at the same time, when you
what
watch
if any great quarterback outside of Otto Graham ended up in Cleveland?
Well, if you look at, I mean, Cleveland's like the deathbed of quarterbacks. But I just think that it's the system that's winning there. And Tom Brady's a great quarterback, but I don't know that he would have been as good anywhere else. And
I don't think Montana would have won at Tampa Bay.
No, I don't think anybody. Well, look at Steve Young.
Right.
I mean, Steve Young was considered a bust and no good. And next thing you know,
Verdi was a pretty good quarterback, and he couldn't flourish there.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything there either.
They have a third-string quarterback, rookie quarterback, came out and looked like a world beater. When in the NFL, how often do you see a third-string quarterback come in?
Well, here's the thing with that. I mean, I agree that the system is a very, very good system, but right now I think the difference is they're not going to win 10 or 11 straight games with a third-string quarterback. Belichick can piece this stuff together to win these crucial games, while they're waiting for Brady to get back, and he can do it for a short time. But if Brady was out the entire year, I don't think they'd go 14-2. I mean, well, then again, it's Bill Belichick. Maybe they do, but I realize I don't know. I don't think that they're going to win in the playoffs with a third-string quarterback. But when Brady comes back, all of a sudden that he's a great quarterback.
How many
I think
games?
There's a lot of places he could win at.
Oh, I think he's a great quarterback, but how many games do you see in the NFL with third-string quarterbacks where they get blown out? I don't care if it's week 3, week 6.
Yeah, but that third-string quarterback, wasn't he a second-round draft pick like 2 years ago?
No, I don't.
He was
an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that. I thought he was a high-round pick.
You're thinking.
I think the big thing about Belichick is when Belichick gets quarterbacks, they're quarterbacks that fit his system. I mean, Garoppolo looked like Tom Brady when he played.
He did. Right. He throws just like him.
Yeah, so I think the big thing about Belichick is he is the best at getting guys that fit the system he wants to run. He doesn't grab guys like the Bengals when they drafted David Klingler in the early 90s. He was a run-and-shoot quarterback, and they brought him to Cincinnati, and they tried to turn him into Kenny Anderson, and it just didn't work. I think a lot of times if guys are really good in college, people will pick them just because of that. I mean, I think Jared Goff is going to be a huge mistake by the Rams. I mean, you got a guy like Carson Wentz, who even though he played at an FCS school, I mean, the guy, if you watched him play, looked like an NFL quarterback in college, just the way he did everything. And I think a lot of times they just try to pitch it. They just try to force a square block into a round hole. And it just doesn't work that way. You got to get guys that can run what you want to do, or you got to change and do what they do best. And most coaches don't like to do that anyways. They're usually set in their ways, and they want to do it a certain way. But I think Belichick, I think he's the greatest coach in NFL history. I mean, I think the reason for that is a guy like Vince Lombardi didn't have to replace a third of his roster every year. There was no free agency. And, I mean, Belichick is really good at taking a guy like Ty Law, and he'll get rid of him when they're at the peak of what they're doing and get rid of them before they start to go on the downhill, because a lot of teams will do that. You get 4 or 5 guys going on downhill at the same time, and you can't replace that many guys. But, Aaron, what was your big takeaway?
Well, the thing, real quick, I wanted to touch on this Philly thing. So Carson Wentz really went into the perfect situation there. Doug Peterson was a quarterback. Granted, he was a third-string quarterback for most of his career, but nonetheless, he was a quarterback mind. And then you bring in Frank Reich, who's also a quarterback mind. He went into having 2 guys that can mentor and mold him, and I think that the 3 of them are really fixing what Chip Kelly broke, like live. But my biggest surprise game this week was Arizona and Buffalo. I did not see Buffalo putting it on Arizona.
Well, I always expect Arizona to lose just because they have Carson Palmer. But
yeah,
we talked about that in the playoffs last year. I just think that the downfall of Bruce Arians is going to be Carson Palmer. And they have nobody else that can step in. They've got a talented roster, but they have one big problem there, and that's Carson. And in a big situation, I mean, how many times has Carson Palmer come up in a big situation? The guy's been in the NFL since 2003 and still never won a playoff game.
Beat the Packers.
That doesn't count. It's the Packers. Plus, he also, I mean, come on, he had a ball that should have been picked, bounces into somebody's hands for a touchdown. I mean, it wasn't like he played stellar in that game. They won in spite of him in that game, I think, Matt.
Well, at the end of the game, though, he made a heck of a play to get Fitzgerald.
But that's one play. I still don't trust
anyway,
him.
I didn't see Arizona getting beat 40-7 by Buffalo, and I don't think anyone did. But
no.
The Philly and Pittsburgh game also, like you guys touched on. But yeah, that was the other one. The Arizona Buffalo game really shocked me.
All right, Matt.
Oh, I went already. I talked about Pittsburgh and Philly.
Okay, that was your shocker. All right, guys,
Yep.
So we'll wrap this week up. Even though the Bengals lost to the Broncos, it means nothing because later on in the year we'll see what team's better, and it'll be the New England Patriots.
I'm sure if Coop would have said it means nothing if the Bengals had won.
Well, it wouldn't mean anything if the Bengals would have won because you know what? I'm a Bengals fan, and it don't mean nothing until they win a playoff game, and that's never going to happen.
Hey, Matt, he's used to it.
I am. I mean, I'm to the point now that I think that my point of caring died when Jeremy Hill fumbled the ball in the playoff game last year. Because I'm sitting here watching the game just waiting for something bad to happen. Of course, the officials screwed us over and helped you out also. You can't tell me Adam Jones's knee was not down on the punt return.
Are you sniveling?
Huh?
Are you sniveling?
No, I'm not sniveling. Are you telling me that his knee wasn't down?
I'm just asking you, hey, refs make the calls. Players play.
Well, referees are basically...
Don't you tell your players that?
Referees are stupid. Well, see, this is the thing. I don't coach the Bengals, so I don't really care. I mean, Marvin Lewis is an idiot, which is why the Bengals don't win. I mean, they're a team that's not disciplined. The Broncos got 15 first downs in the game, and a third of them were on defensive penalties by the Bengals.
Yeah, when you get stuff holding the receivers, it would help.
Well, football. I didn't see that, and I bet you anything you can't pop that out. And I didn't say that they didn't hold them. I just said they had a third of the first downs were picked up on defensive penalties, and that's Marvin Lewis's fault.
That's exactly right.
The team plays undisciplined. They've played undisciplined for the last, since he's been here, but for the last 5 years they've played undisciplined. And you can't win football games at any level unless you have discipline.
Not big games. Yeah, not big games.
And, I mean, really, those are the only games that matter anyways.
Yeah.
They might win some big games in the regular season. Hell, at some point they might win a playoff game. But in the end, if you're not disciplined, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Even the Oakland Raiders team in '76 won Super Bowl 11, most penalized team that year. They were still a disciplined team because all their penalties were in first and second down. They'll cheap shot you, but it'll be on 1st and 10. It's not as big a deal. But they'll get their point across then and cause you to turn the ball over by the time you get the 3rd down. But, I mean, the fact that Marvin Lewis is still there still boggles my mind. It doesn't because I know what Mike Brown is. And as long as the Bengals are hanging around 500, making the playoffs, and they sell out and everybody buys the merchandise, he's happy with that. But that's the Bengals' problem. In a nutshell. So, Coop, anything you say to me just goes right off my back. Because there's not a fan out there before that hadn't got to rip on me because their team beat mine. So there you go. But God help you if the Bengals beat the Broncos in a playoff game. Because I will fly to Colorado
I'll make sure
and
you
just sit
spell high
outside
road.
your door.
I heard you spell it, so I know you can spell it.
Spell what? Colorado or fly? Go with fly, please. But all right, guys, you can check us every week if you want to after listening. I mean, I know that people really don't want to hear people bully each other anymore, Coop, so you need to watch that. Because I was watching on MSNBC that could drive me to hurt myself or something from you picking on me. So you need to think about that before you use such harsh words.
And you know what? America needs to have tougher skin. So suck it up and shut up.
That's not what Hillary Clinton says.
Oh, yeah. Let's not go down that road.
All right. I think they need to build a wall somewhere between Cincinnati and Denver so you guys can't beat the hell out of us no more. How about that?
I'm with it.
But, all right. Anybody got any final words? Instead of me having to remember who all's on the show.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Who did the Broncos play? The Buccaneers. I'm cheering for Tampa Bay. And to me, Mark Cooper will always be a Tampa Bay Bronco. Or Buccaneer.
Tampa Bay Bronco.
Oh, man. So, you want to talk a little bit about the 1987 Buccaneer season, Mark?
No.
You sure?
Nope.
Okay. Didn't you guys play the game against the Cardinals where you had the really big lead and blew it?
You know what? Those are memories that don't come back so easy.
Because if you send me your address, I'll send you the DVD of that game.
I remember that game. I forget who I was playing left tackle in that game. Made a tackle for a minute.
You made a tackle?
Tackles.
If I remember right, almost all your offensive linemen got to make a tackle in that game.
He threw a few picks. Yeah.
Well, wasn't he colorblind or something?
Yeah, he was. But he won the Heisman Trophy, so it didn't obviously affect him in college. But
the Tampa was just such a game. Though. He threw 5 picks.
Yeah, but no, they were outcoached. They were outcoached, and they had no blitz pickup whatsoever. I was embarrassed for him.
Well, he did throw it right to the other team on that last drive, and nobody blitzed him.
Yeah.
But they did get outcoached in that game. So Joe Paterno, for all his faults, could coach football.
Oh, yeah.
But, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Make sure you check us next week also. Also, I want to bring up the fact our Los Angeles Rams weekly show this week will have, as always, former Ram Tony Hunter and Oz Davis. But as a special guest this week, we'll have former 1969 NFL MVP Roman Gabriel will sit in on the show. That show will premiere Friday morning. Brian Schmidt will be on the Pittsburgh Steelers weekly show with the White Stone. Make sure you check that out.
Which will be a whole lot of silence. But okay.
You guys had a great game against Philadelphia. Don't get too down on yourself. Could have been worse. You could have lost the Coups team. Even if it was close, it's better than, it's worse than getting blown out by the Eagles. Matt Andruscavage will be on with the San Francisco 49ers weekly show with Dexter Carter. When will that show be out, Matt?
That'll be on Thursday morning.
All right, and we had the Fantasy Football Show with Oz, Matt, and Aaron Zepnick tonight, which will probably be out tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, so make sure you check all those shows. Make sure you go to Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com to check out Gridiron Mo, the main presenting sponsor for The Grueling Truth. So for Mark Cooper, Brian Schmidt, Matt Andruscavage, Aaron Zepnick, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.